Today we're going to talk about deliberate practice with Yukihira Soma. All right, so I am really passionate about this subject because deliberate practice is an idea that I read about in a book, and once I read about it, it completely shifted my perspective on how I should think about getting better within a skill. And that book that I read is called So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport. And the book describes making yourself so good at a skill that people can't help but give you money and help you find your dream job that you're looking for. So in order to get the skills that you need to do this thing called deliberate practice. And then, hold on. And Yukihira Soma from Shokugeki no Soma is the perfect example of deliberate practice being used and applied to a specific skill that he really, really wants to improve at, which is cooking. So deliberate practice what is deliberate practice? Deliberate practice describes a style of practice that forces a practitioner to stretch outside of their comfort zone in order to improve their overall skills in a subject. So the term was first coined by this professor at Florida State University. His name is Eric Anderson. And he is a professor that specializes in expertise study and performance study. So he studies how people get really, really, really good in their chosen field of study. So he's an expert on that. Here's a quote by him. If you just show up and work hard, you'll soon hit a performance plateau beyond which you'll fail to get any better, which I'm sure a lot of us have experienced. Let's say you play piano, or maybe you're playing Overwatch and you just keep playing Overwatch to try to get better. At some point, you're going to hit a plateau. But if you use deliberate practice, which is to stretch outside of your comfort zone, you will go beyond that plateau and you'll become a very, very, very good player, or very, very skilled at whatever expertise you're trying to master. So the big difference between the two, as I mentioned earlier, is how these two people, or style of practice, I guess you would say, is practice. So let's take two chess players, for example. The first chess player on the left, he plays chess almost every weekend, maybe even every day. He plays against people that are in his ELO range. So he'll play in chess tournaments. They might be slightly better, slightly worse than him, and that's how he gets his practice in. The other player, the little kid, he still does some tournament play, but most of his time is spent on studying very, very complex and hard situational chess problems that his teacher gives him. These chess problems might not even, or situations might not even arise within the context of an actual chess game. But the thing is, he's stretching outside of his comfort zone in learning these different chess moves, and that'll help with his understanding of the game as a whole, which will in turn propel him to become a better chess player in the end, right? So that's cool. So for example, with Overwatch, instead of just playing a game or two here and there, or every day, just playing against people that are in your ELO level, instead, let's say you go to the practice range and practice your headshots and aiming all the time. Maybe you play Os. I know there's a very famous Overwatch player who does that as a warm-up. He uses Os as a practice tool to get better at aiming, which is something that I don't think a lot of normal Overwatch players do. So we're going to talk about Soma's upbringing because that's the main focus as the case study for this kind of practice within anime. So he's grown up in these cooking battles with his dad since, in this picture it says since he was in the 6th grade. So growing up in a diner is something that is very, very natural to Soma. You have actual customers that you have to serve. You're in the kitchen and it's real. It's running. It's not a cooking class. It's not a very casual thing where you make food and then it can fail or not. Like if you make crappy food, your customers are going to complain, and that's real life experience. Another thing to note here is the money, which yes, money is not everything, but money in this situation is a good indicator of value, because if people are willing to pay you for the thing that you're making, the product that you're presenting, or the food that you've just cooked, that's an indicator that you've made something of value worth for the customer to even pay money for you to even make that thing. So money is a good indicator of value. Remember that. And since Saiba, sorry, spoiler alert, he used to be the second seat at Totsuki in the Elite 10. So he's gone through the academy. And because the Shogugeki and that system of battling against each other is how he really developed his cooking style and learned all these different ways to cook, he wanted to use that as his platform for education to teach Soma how to cook. And I think that is one of the key to Soma's success as a chef. There's obviously more, which we'll go into in a little bit, but that is a huge part of it. So a typical day might look like they have a shogugeki. After the shogugeki, they take their notebook out and record what they did wrong, what they could have done to improve, what they did well, and they record all this, every single battle. And then after that, Soma might go back and try to, through deliberate practice, learn a new technique or new set of ingredients that he can use in his next iteration of his dishes in order to beat his dad. The funny thing is, Soma hasn't beaten his dad once. There's this one scene where Saiba asks him, "Oh, so how many times have you lost, Soma? Is it upwards to like 500?" He's like, "No, it's not. It's 489." And that is super, super interesting. So yeah, the funny thing is that Soma hasn't actually even won once, which is nuts. So Soma's dad, he's brought up this kind of parenting style, right? Which, is it the correct parenting style? Is it not? I'm not too sure, but I think it's a perfect fit for Soma. Because Soma's personality is one that his thirst to get better and improve on his cooking outweighs anything else. He's not afraid to lose. He's willing to try anything in order to beat his dad. It might not be a correct parenting style for everyone, but it definitely works for Soma. So Yukihira Soma's superpower, because not everybody can go through this style of training that his dad has set forth. Soma never, ever backs down from a challenge, and that's key because he is always super focused on winning and ultimately just getting better at his craft, which is cooking, right? His ultimate goal in life is to beat his dad and become better than his dad at cooking, and second, take over the Yukihira diner, which his dad promptly shuts down the diner just so that Soma can go to Totsuki for this cooking class. So because of his challenge, because of his training and all the countless hours that he's put into his craft and learning how to cook, he welcomes any challenge because he is so confident that he's put so many more hours into the kitchen using deliberate practice to hone his craft compared to all the other students in his grade at Totsuki. Yes, he realizes later that the Elite 10 are definitely a force to be reckoned with. They're the top chefs in the world. But everybody else, he's willing to take on. He's even willing to take on the Elite 10 because he wants to test his skills against those people. And sometimes he runs in, like with that funny gif, he runs in very willy-nilly, sometimes a little bit too aggressively into battles that he probably shouldn't. But he knows at the end of the day, because his goal, again, is not to become the first seat at Totsuki. That, in his address at the opening ceremony, he even says Totsuki is a stepping stone for him to get to the next level of cooking for him. So he's thinking of everybody else as fodder for him just getting better at his craft. So even if he loses, he knows that he's just gonna get better at cooking, which Oh, sorry, I mentioned this earlier. He trusts the hours that he's previously put into his craft. But if he does lose, this is a key. If he does lose, he will really reflect on the things that he should have done in order to improve for his next dish. He doesn't dwell on necessarily losing. He's like, you know what? It's fine. I lost. I just need to. It hurts, and he slams the wall at one point, but he just really needs to focus and get better at cooking to get past where he is right now. And he's also not afraid to experiment and try really weird things outside of his comfort zone, like the peanut butter octopus, which apparently turned out freaking terribly, which is also hilarious. But the superpower of Soma is he leaves his ego at the door. His thirst to grow and beat his dad outweighs anything that's in his way. It's not the seats at Toski, it's not losing, it's not embarrassment, he's not trying to prove anything to anyone but himself. He just wants to beat his dad. And that right there is a key. So if you can implement some of that deliberate practice in your own life and practice like Yukihira Soma does and try to stretch outside of your comfort zone, you will become a master at your craft in anything that you try. So that is a lesson that I want all of you guys to take away. And with that, class is now dismissed. Osomatsu, hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, that is the second class of Usubi Sensei's class. Now we will open it up to questions, if any of you guys have questions. What's up, guys? I want to thank you for watching this video and for tuning into the second episode of Lessons from the Anime with Usubi Sensei. And I just want to let you guys know that next week it's going to be another fun video. It's going to be about Karakai Jozu no Takagi-san again. And just another reminder, you have to watch the first 3 episodes so there's no spoilers. The next episode after that will be something that is just a general theme of anime, which I think you guys will enjoy. So also, if you want to catch the lesson live, you can check that out on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/nickmusubi. I usually do it either starting at 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. every weekend. And I usually update the people who follow me on Twitter. That's the way you'll know when each episode is going to go live. So yeah, check out my Twitch, check out the Twitter if you're interested. If not, it's totally cool. You can just watch the episode here. Totally up to you. And with that, hope you guys have an awesome day, weekend, whatever time you might be watching this. I'll see you guys in the next one.